But we're going to start with the roll call. Okay, ready? Roll call. Commissioner Caldwell,
Here.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Here.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Here.
Mr. Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Here.
Great. I'm going to read the public notice. This meeting of the Board of Commissioners will take place electronically in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, specifically NJSA 10:4-9.3. Notice of this meeting was given by one public advertisement with sufficient notice herewith to the Home News Tribune. Number two, filing advance written notice of this meeting with the city clerk's office. And three, posting this notice on the public website of the Housing Authority. During the meeting, participants, including members of the public, may be muted by the host. However, there will be an opportunity for them to participate and speak during the public portion of the meeting where participants will be unmuted at their request. At this time, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation.
nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I wanted to recognize the board members. I didn't have a chance before, and I understand it was the annual election was held before, and that's why I had that on here. And thank you, Commissioner Medina Hernandez. And I wanted to thank you guys because a lot of times we volunteer for these boards. No one gets paid. It's time away from your families. You spend so much energy reading the board packages, talking to us as an authority. And I know a lot of you have relationships with people here that live here in a community that we're supposed to serve. And I just wanted to, after 18 years of service here, and some other things I've done in my life, I wanted to thank you guys for doing that voluntarily. Never once have you ever said, oh, we want to get paid, we should get paid. Never a talk. And it's sometimes it goes, it's like a thankless job, like a school board member, same thing. It's you guys work hard, you work for the cause. And for that, I wanted to recognize you. I thank you. So we're going to move, bear with me for 1 second. Before we're moving for the consideration of minutes from the previous meeting, I'd like to table, at this time, I'll need a motion in a second. I'd like to table Resolution 34 at this time. So if I can get a motion in a second, I would greatly appreciate that.
So moved.
Dale moved, second by
Second.
Yesenia Hernandez. Great. Roll call. Commissioner Caldwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani.
Yes.
I heard you. Medina,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Great. Motion passes unanimously. At this time, I'd like a motion and a second for consideration of meeting minutes from the past meeting.
Move.
Commissioner Wallace?
Walde.
Oh, Walde, I apologize.
Second Caldwell.
Roll call. Commissioner Caldwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Great. Okay. And then at this time, to the Board of Commissioners, my regular meeting board report to you. That would be on page 16 of 70. And I wanted to bring to your attention, in addition to my little preamble up front about contacting me and feeling free to reach out to me, I'd like to read this into the record. Additionally, our esteemed Executive Director, John Clark, who served for over 27 years, has officially retired. We thank Mr. Clark for his years of service with the New Brunswick Housing Authority and redevelopment, and the many contributions he has made with the development of the land in the city of New Brunswick. Moreover, Mr. Clark supported many scholarships and donation drives within public housing that made an immediate impact in so many young lives. These efforts led to life-changing circumstances for so many of our residents and their children. Please take a moment to recognize and wish Mr. Clark well in the next chapter of his life. I wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
have a suggestion.
Yes, Commissioner Walde?
Yeah, because of his long service, is it possible to kind of prepare a certificate and invite him at the next meeting to provide him with a certificate? I think, yeah, certificate of recognition.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll make that happen, and I'll reach out to you to get the language together, and I'll reach out to some other board members, and we'll explore that, and we'll put that together. And he's a humble person, so he kind of stays reserved, but we've all known him for a long time, and I think that would be fitting.
Yeah, I mean, you can work with the chairperson and Mr. Manfredi to prepare the document, I think.
Oh, that sounds good. You come up with the ideas, and I got to go work with them, huh? That's great.
It's
All right.
easier.
I second that.
Okay. Okay, great. We can move on now. We'll move on to new business. The following resolutions will be before you for a motion in a second. We're going to handle each one individually. I'm sorry, any questions at this time? No? Okay. Resolution approving. This is resolution 30. Resolution approving Second Amendment to the redevelopment plan between Sterling Side Urban Renewal LLC and the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick, acting as the redevelopment agency for a multi-family residential project in the Lower George Street redevelopment area. Actually, I apologize. At this time, I got ahead of myself. I'd like to revert back to that. I'm going to open up for public comment at this time. I see there's a number of people in the audience, and I want to go ahead and reach out right now. Would anyone like to say anything from the public?
Yes, Charlie Cradaville, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Cradaville.
Thanks. Can you just clarify, is this the only public comment of the night, or is this just on resolutions?
This is the time where I'm introducing the public comment, and this is where we're going to handle your comments and anyone else's comments during this time.
Okay, thank you. So I did want to note that there is a new board member, Mr. Doug Pettix, and
Yep.
I wanted to ask, has he been sworn into office?
I just got the information today. It just came by mail. I opened it up. I shared it with the chair, and he had, from what I understand, he has not. I just got notification from the city that he passed unanimously with 2 abstentions.
Okay, so he's not yet in office.
No, he's not here tonight. No.
Okay. Well, I wish him well. I'm glad to see an appointment made to fill the vacancy. I do think that, there's cause for concern about the state of the authority. At your last meeting, I asked if it was true Mr. Clark was resigning, and no one was willing to give a straight answer. I still can't figure out why. So I'll leave it to you, Mr. Chairman, to explain why you did not disclose this, even though you were apparently aware of the pending change. But I think there's a real problem of lack of transparency more broadly. And I'm not talking about any one meeting or one decision. I'm talking about a pattern and practice of obstruction. And I do want to thank Mr. Toto, who has stepped in, and I've already started to get some more transparency from the Open Public Records request that unfortunately the outgoing executive director left unfulfilled. and there were at least 5 of them that I'm still, at least as of today, was still waiting for some. But Mr. Toto responded pretty quickly and got me some of what I'm looking for. But I'm very concerned because I can tell from the legal bills I've seen that your general counsel, Manfredi and Palecchio, has been charging the authority a lot of money. The figure I saw today is putting it at about $100,000 a year for the past 4 years. But this board only budgets less than half that amount. So at your meetings in I guess May and August, you have advanced a budget for this current year where your total legal expenses, not just for the Manfredi firm, but all of your legal expenses, you've budgeted $43,500. I see on tonight's agenda a change order to expand upon the funds that the Manfredi firm would be allowed to charge. The way the contract works is there's a not to exceed amount built into it, and they have repeatedly exceeded the not to exceed amount. And at your last meeting, you were actually asked to retroactively approve a change order to boost their ability to charge the authority. And I've looked through the bills, and I think some of them are inappropriate. They are, essentially.
Mr. Craddock, I'm going to interrupt you now because you're engaging in acts of defamation in what you're saying.
Excuse me, are you the chair of the board?
I apologize, Chair, for speaking. If I
That's
spoke
not
out of turn.
fine. Mr. Crowder will continue.
Okay, thank you. I think that the board has not been receiving the bills, and I would like each board member to request to receive the bills from this firm. I think you will find in there that the firm is charging to essentially defend one of the board members in an ethics complaint, and the board is also spending a lot of time reviewing and analyzing my OPRA requests. And if they're spending so much time on them, why does it take 4 months or more and multiple requests for me to get the responses I need? It should not be this difficult. And we've been through this before, and we've litigated this before. We've actually gone to court where the housing authority did not prevail. These things like legal bills are public documents. They need to be released. If you need to review them and redact them, you should do it swiftly and release them. And frankly, for the board to see them, you don't need to see redacted versions. You should be able to get them on demand. And I would ask you to take a look at this firm and all the change orders they're putting in. If you're only budgeting $43,500 for them, I see tonight you've got a bill for $24,000 from this firm. That's half that.
Mr. Cradaville, Chair, if I may interrupt Mr. Cradaville, and I'm sorry because I don't want to take you away from possibly asking.
One second. I want Mr. Cradaville to be able to complete his comment here.
All right, go ahead.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I also had some other questions. I would just hope that somebody can respond. Is it true that the authority had an employee on the payroll working remotely from California?
We're going to answer all these questions. What other questions did you have in addition to that?
I wanted to know if it's true that that person is a relative of one of the members of the leadership at the authority. I also need to ask about the nonprofit board that's being formed. Has it been formed? Who is on the board? And I'll note that those are questions that I've asked the general counsel, the firm, and have not gotten responses to. I August 29th and never got a response to that simple question, who is on the board? And I'd like to know, when are the meetings? Are they going to be open to the public? If not, why not? And I also wanted to understand what's happening with the interim with the executive director search. Is there any update on I see there's been a notice posted, but is there any timeline you can provide for when you might actually hire someone?
Okay, fair. All right, so those are 4 questions. We have the matter concerning the billing with Mr. Manfredi. We have the matter concerning whether or not there was an employee in California in our employ. We have the nonprofit board, has it been formed, and when are we meeting, as well as the executive director search. I would like to then turn it over to Mr. Toto to address those points in which he has a purview to address, and I'll allow Mr. Manfredi to address the points that specifically discuss what he has going on. Mr. Manfredi. Oh, sorry.
So I don't want to speak for Joe Manfredi, but being in the field, I've spent some time, when individuals respond to an RFP, they don't have a crystal ball that tells them, what kind of litigation may be coming up or what type of services may be coming up. It's kind of basic and you build from there, but it's difficult for me to sit here and finger point. And I think whenever there have been some discrepancies, I've been able to call in a short period of time Mr. Manfredi and his firm, and they've corrected bills. There are times when you're dealing with a voluminous amount of billable hours that come through, his time is his trade. So I can't speak for that, but I would be careful when you make mention of things that could possibly put another person in false light or defamatory. I would be careful lodging those things until you get exact data. But that's for you and your attorney to speak about, right? The other matters, if you want me to go ahead and discuss it now or to write or to put this out to Charlie later, I think that he's already said that we have a decent email system going back and forth in responses. And that's how I'd like to handle that. I don't want to say the wrong thing and then be held accountable for that. I'd rather just respond to you based on the questions that you have and send them back to you with a number of comments. I think I would be a little more thorough right now.
Okay.
Are you okay with that? Then I would feel more comfortable doing that, though this is a comment period. So I've got your comments, I've got your good questions.
Totally fine. Totally fine. I just want to note that at 6:55 p.m. I did actually get a response from the Manfredi law firm naming the 5 board members, which apparently are all members of this board. So I have to just make an addendum that if the board consists of 5 housing authority board members, anytime you get together, it's a public meeting and you have to notice it and you have to invite the public. So I do want to understand, now that the board's been formed, when is the first meeting? And that's the answer I will
Good
need.
question. Hold on one second, Charlie. I want to direct that to Mr. Manfredi, and I know that's incomplete information that you have, Mr. Manfredi. If you want to speak to that and be mindful of our overtime on the comment.
Thank you, Chair. To address Mr. Credible's question, the nonprofit is being formed. There are numerous steps in forming it, but the members are the initial members of the board. There may be other members of the community on it, and they do not sit as the board of the housing authority because the business of the nonprofit is that of a private nonprofit. It is different and separate from the housing authority. They do not sit when they sit as the nonprofit board members as housing authority board members. So there is no open public meetings issue. And we do expect other members, as I said, those are initial members when the nonprofit is formed. There may also be other members not on the housing authority that are members of the community, etc.
And the executive director search, I feel like that answers the nonprofit question. Mr. Toto, if you want to speak to the executive director search.
I can. We put out a notice last week, which I need to be reimbursed on because it had to go on my credit card, and I bring some attention to that. And we introduced it nationally. It's in the national publication. And we're going to be looking for a real solid candidate, someone who wants to come to New Brunswick or might even be here in our area. I mean, you've got a lot to offer. You've got Rutgers, you have Robert Wood Johnson, you've got Johnson & Johnson. It's a hip area to live in. You're close to New York. I mean, I don't need to preach, but I think if someone was serious and they want to come here and you've got a great infrastructure with redevelopment work, a lot of things are happening in New Brunswick, and I think you guys can get a really hot candidate, someone that's can take it to the next level. So yes, we have moved forward with that. We have 4 months under the law chair, and then we have some more time after, if need be, if we're in the middle of finding someone or it's close. But DCA controls that, so that I will serve here as long as I need to assist as the deputy, and as long as you guys want me here. But I think good times are ahead for the city of New Brunswick as far as housing and redevelopment goes.
Okay, and finally, with respect to John and John's retirement, so as not to give the appearance of any sort of impropriety, initially it's a personnel issue. John did not declare that he was going to be leaving, and when we found out, we duly notified everybody here. So once that information became public to us, it became public to you. I believe it's unfair to cast it as some sort of nefarious activity going on behalf of the board. We are all volunteers. We are all here to serve the residents. And the last thing that we want to do is complicate our communication to the residents with the inner workings of the board in such that they do not need to be aware of a guy who has not yet determined whether or not he's going to retire. But he has retired. He served us dutifully. We honor that, and we are now in a search for a competent individual to replace such a previously competent individual, and that's going to take some time, as I'm sure you're all aware. I don't want to spend too much time here not dealing with issues that affect our residents, because that's what we're here for. And I don't want to bog us down with bureaucracy. I received your email, Charlie. I'm more than happy to talk to you about these things that you're offering, why you're not getting the answers in the time that you're getting in the time that you would want to get them. However, I issue this caution in that those sorts of requests tie up the limited resources that we have to serve the community of New Brunswick. That's what we are here for first. So in the conclusion of your email, you sign off with, I hope that we do not have to pursue litigation, which to me is an egregious backhand sort of threatening language, which says to me that you're out to direct resources away from the city of New Brunswick in order to get these questions answered. I know that government moves slow and you don't get the answers that you want to get in the time that you want to get them, because everybody here, with the exception of a handful, including Mr. Toto, have jobs and lives and things like that they are trying to keep afloat as well. But hold my feet to the fire that I will ensure that nobody's ducking your answers, getting them to you in the time that they can. But please, please do not proactively steer resources to get away from the people that need them. That's all I'm asking you to do. We can conclude the comment with that, unless there's anybody else in the audience that has one.
Thank you, Chair. That was well said. Charlie, unfortunately, your time has lapsed. I'm going to move on to anyone else in the audience who would like to say something. Okay. We're going to close this public comment section. I need a motion in a second to close it.
Second.
I got who's second?
Walden.
Who? Waldy? Okay. Waldy moved. Hold 1 second. I gotta catch myself here. Okay. Roll call. Commissioner Caldwell.
Yeah. Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Yes, here.
Commissioner Giorgiani.
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez.
Yes.
Commissioner Waldy.
Yes.
Commissioner Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Public comment is closed. Okay, now we can move to new business.
We're new business. Before we get started here with new business, I did want to make a motion in light of us tabling Resolution 34 with PH Actory. And I'd like to motion that the board name Dan Toto, Interim Executive Director in the New Brunswick Housing Authority. The members of the Personnel Committee have spoke on this and recommend naming Mr. Toto as Interim Director. And that has my support if we have a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion, Dale.
Fantastic. Keep continuing to do great work.
Second. Okay, roll call. Commissioner Colwell.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani.
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez.
Yes.
Commissioner Waldy.
Yes.
Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Well, I thank you guys, and I'm going to be leaning on you. It's going to be really hard shoes to fill with Mr. Clark. I mean, he's an icon in his field, beloved nationally. That I can say because I've seen guys talk to him. Alonzo Jackson, Dr. Ben Carson. I mean, he got a lot of respect from a lot of people across the country in this field, and I couldn't even think that I would be able to fill those shoes. But I'll be leaning on this board, and I welcome it. Thank you so much, and we'll move forward as quickly as we can to find a permanent solution. So at this time, we're going to move to new business. Resolution 30, as I was saying before we opened up the public comment. Resolution approving Second Amendment to redevelopment plan between Sterling Side Urban Renewal LLC and the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick, acting as the redevelopment agency for a multi-family residential project in the Lower George Street redevelopment area. I need a motion and a second. I see that Mr. Cassidy is here and we have counsel as well, Mr. John Hoffman. Anyone has any questions from the board? You guys can ask them now. If not, we can move. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to accept. Second.
Giorgiani. Second by Mr. Wallace, Commissioner. Okay,
Yes.
roll call. Commissioner Colwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Great. Motion passes unanimously. Good luck to you guys.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Cassidy.
Commissioners.
Great,
Thank you.
great. Resolution 31, resolution approving, authorizing, and ratifying payment of bills for the month of August
I
2023.
have a question.
About this or about the past?
The past, are they going to go over the project?
So the project has been in place for a while. Mr. Cassidy, you still there?
Yes, I'm here. I can provide a brief introduction if you guys would like.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
We're counting your vote though, Yurgo. We're going to count your vote. It's already in. But go ahead, Mr. Cassidy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Mike Cassidy, Senior Project Manager with the Community Builders. As many of you know, the Community Builders have been in New Brunswick for a long while, including the communities at Lord Sterling, Hope Manor, and Riverside Apartments. Across the street from Lord Sterling is a vacant lot, which we've been working with the Housing Authority staff and John Hoffman for some time to put together the financing plan and obtain all the necessary approvals. As a lot of projects face some increases in construction, last year we had to go back and find some gap financing. We were successful in being able to do that. That then changed our timeline for completing the project. I'm happy to report that we no longer have a gap in our financing. We will be able to commence construction by January of this year. So one of the things the amendment does is change that timeline from a construction start January 2024 with a completion of May 2025. The project is 53 units of affordable. 6 units are set aside for homeless families or individuals. We have a mix of 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. There will be on-site services as well as on-site parking.
Great. Yurgo,
Yeah.
I believe this plan came ahead and this is just an amendment to it. So the board
I know,
knows about
I
this
know.
plan already. That's
No,
why
no, I know.
that's why I kind of passed through because we were just talking about the amendment. But go ahead, Yurgo. Sorry.
Yeah, but we'd like them to go over it because there is an amendment and I have a few questions too.
Okay.
Okay, now the total cost is what, 26.7 million, 13.9 is a loan and 12.8 is low income tax credit. Where is the loan
Correct.
coming from?
The loan is a mix of HMFA dollars. We have some funding from Middlesex County from their Housing First that's tied to the set aside units for homeless families. And we have some funding from the city of New Brunswick through their home program. And then we have a permanent loan, which in this case will be through a Freddie Mac product. So we're working with CPC and Freddie Mac as our permanent lender.
Oh, okay. Now, the 12.8 tax credit, when does it expire? Because it's been there for a long time.
It's a good question. Last year, we had to apply to HMFA to get it exchange, and we were successful in that. So we have until the end of 2025, so December 2025, to place the building in service. And our current schedule has the building CO coming in May 2025. So we have some months built in there to get to the end of 2025.
Okay. Now, to cover the cost, I think the you eliminated 1 3-bedroom and moved it to 1 bedroom.
So
No, 4 bedroom. Yeah, 3-bedroom, and then you eliminated the roof terrace, I think. Is that
Right, now
sufficient to cover your cost?
yes, so those
Cost of
revisions,
run.
those revisions were actually done, not most recently. So we were just capturing those revisions in this amendment. But yes, the roof terrace had been removed. We changed the mix. It's still 53 units, but we had to
Yeah.
replace one of the 3 bedrooms with a 1 bedroom. That together with really some of the gap financing that we were successful in obtaining is what closed the gap.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, those are my questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions from any other commissioners at this time? Okay,
Thank you again.
it passed unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on to Resolution 31, resolution approving, authorizing, and ratifying payment of bills for the month of August 2023. I'll need a motion in a second, unless you have any.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Mr. Giorgiani.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Commissioner Colwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Resolution 32, resolution authorizing and approving interagency agreement between the Franklin Township Housing Authority and the New Brunswick Housing Authority. I'll need a motion in a second. We'll continue as it's been going on. This relationship's been going on a long time. It's running really smoothly. We're providing a great service over there. We have some really competent people, some great tenants. RPM's doing a great job for any of the requests we may have that we get concerns or inquiries from tenants. They're pretty attentive to the issues over there. So I just wanted to share that before we have a motion in a second. This is on the interagency agreement between both these agencies.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Mr. Giorgiani, and who's second?
I'll second,
Thank you, Commissioner Hernandez, Medina Hernandez, sorry. Roll call. Commissioner Colwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Great. Resolution 33, resolution authorizing and approving the fiscal year 2024 HUD fair market rents and payment standards for use by the New Brunswick Housing Authority effective October 1st, 2023. Any questions? If not, we can move.
Yeah,
In a second. Okay.
Yeah, I looked at the 2023 and 24. Most of the rent has gone down. Is that true?
You mean the overall rent?
Yeah, like for example, unless I took the wrong information, 1 bedroom was 1608 in 2023. In 24, it will be 1336. 2 bedroom 1807, 1515, 24. 3 bedrooms 2276, 24 1917, which is good. You know, I'm not. Yeah, I'm just trying to find out if that is true. Based on the chart.
I don't
Maybe-
want to. I don't want to dispute your, but I'm looking at my NBHA payment standards.
Okay.
It's just a little different over in
Maybe I looked at the wrong number. I mean,
Yeah, I have it going up. I have the 2024s going down to 1807, but the fair market rent was for 2023 was 1988. So the amount that we increased to 110 is designed by HUD. HUD approved that, and that's what we're following. I guess they get their little crystal ball and they do their search, and that's what they come up with.
Okay, maybe I picked the wrong column.
But I can tell you this, a year ago, that last year, we had a hard time. Tenants had a hard time over at Franklin. They had to go to 120, and it still wasn't good. I mean, the market was quite different. So I think this is a good thing that HUD has done. I think they've been able to satisfy a lot of the issues that were out there. But
Very good. All right,
thank
thanks.
you. Okay, so a motion and a second for the fair market rents and payment standards be authorized.
Move.
Wallace,
Second.
Yurga.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call. Commissioner Caldwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
yes,
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Great. Motion passes unanimously. Resolution 35, resolution approving and ratifying the corrective action plan with the Department of Housing and Urban Development regarding physical conditions. Any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. That's good. That's okay.
I looked at the report, and I think the point has to go up from 20 to 24. That's the minimum requirement on each one of them. On each one of the what is that? The corrective action plan.
Yes.
Yeah. So when is it due now?
Their target completion date is March 30th of 24.
24. Okay.
I had the pleasure of meeting with them personally in
Okay.
August. It's something that we've all agreed on that needed. We have housing stock, and I know people yell at me for saying this, but it's just not equitable. It's not fair. It's not right. We have housing stock from the 60s.
Mhm.
You're using today's housing standard measurements to judge that. It's wrong. You bring me a guy from the western part of Pennsylvania that has no clue about inner city or urban area to evaluate our property, and it's wrong. Now, I'm not saying we're 100, and I'm not saying we're 85, but we're definitely not in a failing rate. So we got to be somewhere in between based on the housing stock that we have. HUD knows it's wrong. HUD knows it's bad. There's nothing they can do. They're changing the system. We have a quality control. It's called HQS that is being phased out to a new system called Inspire. They're not even ready for it. We're ready to do it. You know, I met with a consultant today. We put our heads together. We tried to get it going for Inspire now because we know the other game is rigged. There's no other word to use. It's rigged. You can't keep coming out here and beating us up for the infrastructure issues that we face. The housing was from 1962. It's been built here. It's not right. But we're on it. And HUD understands it out of Newark. That's why they met with us. They understand. But overall, we passed.
Mhm.
We just have to fix the physical items that came up in a deficient manner, and we will, and we are. So we're open to that. We're transparent about it. We're not hiding it. So
Do you have the fund to do that? I know HUD is not giving additional fund.
well, that's always
That's another
that's
problem.
always a concern. That's always a
Yeah.
problem. The real funds would be tear it down, rebuild it. You know, other agencies have. The chair and I have spoken about that. That's something that's on his agenda, as it should be for all of you. And I don't want to speak for all of you. I've only had this conversation with the chair, but it's something that we should really explore. It's been long overdue, long overdue. So
Thank you.
I think it's coming. I can tell you that. So, okay, so I'll, sorry about that. Corrective action. I'll need a motion in a second.
Move.
And who moved? Sorry,
Yurgo.
Yurgo? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll second,
Giorgiani. Okay, roll call. Commissioner Caldwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
yes,
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Great, motion passes unanimously. Last one. Resolution 36, resolution ratifying and approving a second change order for general legal service contract between Manfredi and Palecchio and the New Brunswick Housing Authority. Any questions? If not, we can move to a roll call and need a motion in a second. But feel free if anybody's got anything to say.
and make a motion, to accept.
Thank you. Motion, Giorgiani. And a second,
Second.
Mr. Caldwell, second. Roll call. Commissioner Caldwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes,
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Great. That concludes the resolutions for this evening. Board members have any questions of me, any concerns, any complaints you've heard, anything you'd like to see done, let me know now, or you have my phone number, you can call me.
You did a good job today, anyway.
Well, yeah. Not as smooth and suave as John's, but I went back and watched a couple of them. I'm like, I better bone up here because my work at Franklin is easy. You know, it's well, I shouldn't say that because I want to keep getting paid. But yeah, it's a lot easier than this. So I appreciate it. And any other questions? Commissioner Medina? See,
no, no
sometimes
other
your
question.
picture is frozen and then sometimes it's moving. It almost looks like a still shot. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no other questions.
you're pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, well, we can.
Congratulations,
we
Dan.
can- Thank you, thank you. We can move the close for the evening adjournment. I'll need a motion in a second, Chair.
I motion to self.
I'll
Motion,
second.
Giorgiani, second. Okay, commissioners, roll call. Commissioner Caldwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes,
Commissioner Medina Hernandez,
Yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
and Chairperson Wright.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.